Hello, it's me again. It's Will, right here. Here to make some noise, here to talk, here to share some thoughts and feelings. Today we're going to start light. Light? No, we're not. We're going to go heavy. I'm going to talk about death today. How do I feel about death? That's a question I'm going to answer today. I thought I'd wear the light shirt, the floral shirt to contrast it. But death. Honestly, death for me right now, with where I'm at, I'm really actually using death as a motivator. For me, I'm not going to live forever. And I'm painfully aware of that. And I think it's really important for me to, when I come to the crossroads in my head of like, what do I do now? What do I do now? What do I do now? Because I've constructed my life very deliberately to have as much agency and control over it as possible. I don't want kids. I have a wife, which is great, but I don't have a lot of immediate necessary commitments. Like I work, I have a job, and I do my job, and I have like social outings I go and do with my friends and stuff. But like I don't want like a ton of super heavy responsibility. Some people really like that. Some people really thrive in that. And I would never tell somebody not to take responsibility on if they feel it'll help them. But for me, I really feel like if I put a lot of stuff, if I have a lot of these kind of active challenges and these passive challenges, right? So this is a video, healthy game I put out. I think they're really cool. But a while ago, Dr. K put a video down about these active and passive challenges. And if you have like a lot of passive challenges relative to your active challenges, you'll feel burnt out, you'll feel overwhelmed, right? And I'm really thinking about this in terms of death, right? So if I have a ton of passive challenges and I feel like I'm just having to do everything I have to do, right? And it's never anything about kind of like what I choose as a hard thing to do, life's gonna suck. And I've really felt this, and it's really reflected on my relationship with death in a way, because it's kind of like if I just do a bunch of passive challenges, interestingly, I'm like, yo, what's the point in living? This sucks. So I'm trying to lean into like active challenges more. You know, I'm going to the gym. Like I haven't been this week, to be honest, because I'm a bit under the weather. Don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm pushing through this. And I think that like the active challenges for me come from choosing to be vulnerable, be authentic, make these videos, make music, share that with people. That's the vulnerability for me. And I think that there's a greater urgency to that when I reflect on death. And I'm like, okay, so like one day I'm going to die. Everyone I know is going to die. All of this doesn't matter. And for me, that gives me a lot of perspective. I think especially when I look at nature, you know, I think it really helps me cope with death, because I think we're all kind of terrified of death, right? Because it's like the unknown. I certainly am in my own way, if I'm honest with myself. There are lots of like ideas I certainly think about to help me maybe cope with the idea of death, the idea of like eventually digressing and regressing. Sorry, digressing isn't a word. Regressing, and coming to a point where, you know, I'm not going to get stronger, I'm going to get weaker, and then eventually I will die. And I guess I'm thinking now, well, I'm like healthy and young, even when I have this slight cold here, right? I'm like, well, what can I do that's not going to like decimate me? What can I do that's going to help me grow and feel interested and engaged and have those active challenges for myself? So death's a heavy one, you know. I've had people die in my life. I've had grandparents die. A couple of my brother's friends have died. Death is hard. It's just really wild to me in a way when I reflect on it. Like, yeah, people will die. People have died. And it feels like this void, right? And I think death, when I'm really honest about it, and I guess dodge away from the copium, it's dark, it's really heavy. But then almost like I also, on the inverse, go, well, if I lived forever, would that create any value and point in acting now, right? If I lived for even like twice as long as the normal life expectancy of a human, which in the UK I think is like, for a man, low 80s, don't know the number exactly, but if I lived, say, in theory to 160 years old and I was in good health till 140, I think that would really change the priority and pace of like what I was doing, right? And I think, there's some media that I think explores this in a really interesting way. I think, Faerun, that anime that I watched with the elf girl recently, really explores this idea of death in a really interesting, reflective way, because of the contrast of urgency in life. And I really think about this in my own life. I'm like, I feel like I've wasted a lot of years avoiding things, running away from things, not taking a bit more kind of active charge of my own life and just allowing life to happen to me. And then, like, as I hit 30, for sure, I was like, holy shit, like, what have I done with my 20s? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, why am I here? What am I doing? Why does all of this matter? I'm not old. I'm certainly not old, but I'm not young anymore, right? For me anyway, I felt like in my 20s, I was like, well, I'm in my 20s. I'm like, stuff's hard, and I don't have some stuff, and I'm, having to struggle and fight to just get a car, so I can get a job. It took most of my 20s to get to a good place with that, because I didn't really come from a ton of resources. But I could just like mess around, and that was like fine. I still think it's important to play. I still think it's important to have fun. But I also feel like, damn, like if I don't start doing things, like I'm not going to get to lean into my values. I'm not going to be able to be authentic. I'm not going to be able to be creative. If I don't look at what's getting in the way of me right now, tomorrow isn't guaranteed, and I'm not going to get any closer to like those small pockets of real presence and beautiful moments in life, right? And I feel the more I push myself into doing things, like, I've been going to concerts fairly regularly, every month pretty much. And I just feel like sometimes the concert comes up and I'm like, I'm tired, I've been working a lot, I don't want to go to this sucks. And then that voice in the back of my head goes, but like, tomorrow isn't guaranteed though. So if you don't go, you're going to miss out on an experience here. You're going to miss out on novelty, which is going to make life feel like it's going by quicker. So go to that fucking concert, Will. Go to that concert. So I go to the concert, and then you know what? I have a great time most of the time. I go, yeah, I get a bit hot and sweaty. Yeah, my feet hurt because I have flat feet. But man, just being in a crowd of people, I don't even care the genre, but being in a crowd of people and just feeling a moment with people, oh, it's like amazing. Doesn't matter the crowd size. I feel so connected in them, and I think it's so it's just great. And I think, to come back to the death point, like, it's gonna happen. How am I gonna have those experiences now that funnel me towards my values and help me have those present, meaningful moments? I think about that. I try and think about that in a fairly concrete way. Concerts are cool, but I also think about it in the type of work I do, just how I am with people, right? Like, if I go and talk to somebody and I'm dismissive and shitty with them, then like, what's the what am I getting out of that? Like, am I growing from that? Are they getting anything? No, like, that's also not a good experience. It sucks for everyone, and I think I really try and be aware of that, even when I'm really tired. That I'm like, and sometimes I feel like frustrated. I'm like, let's zoom out here. What kind of what lifestyle do we want to live? What is that gonna help with for me? How am I gonna feel better from this? And how am I gonna feel like I got to connect with people in the fleeting moments that we all have in life, right? Life just happens. So let's seize the day is almost kind of where I've been coming at recently. I think mostly because of the amount of regret I felt from, in my 20s again, not seizing the day at all and just stuffing it away with video games. And I really want to just get in there and experience stuff. And that fills me up. Because, like, I even think about legacies too, right? I think that's something that comes up a lot for a lot of people when we think about death. When I think about death, kind of a legacy, right? What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind? I think it's a huge challenge for me. What legacy do I want to leave? I think I'm increasingly coming closer to the idea that, like, I don't think I want to leave a legacy. I think I just want to do what feels really connective and present and me, and really feels healing, I guess, for a lot of the wounds I've had inflicted on me, and hopefully help other people with their wounds as I go along. I don't need to be a king. I don't need to be an emperor. I don't need to be a CEO. But I do need to be human. And for me, being human is like feeling all those feelings that come with a human experience. Sometimes that's despair. Sometimes that's rejection. Sometimes that's absolute ecstasy. But all of that's so real and so precious because there's a finite supply of it. Right? Yeah, and I think I'm going to leave it there on death for today. A heavy one. But I've appreciated you listening. Feeling a bit somber now. Yeah, take care of yourselves. I appreciate you all. And I'll see you soon.